doing really well this evening in whatever we are up to. Hopefully the stream works tonight. It's not gonna. I'm gonna have to. Here we go. I'm gonna have to do the intro again. Hello and welcome to the United Devil channel with me, JB. Hope we're all doing extremely well this evening, Wednesday, the 5th of November. Fireworks night, lots of fireworks happening this evening. You could argue fireworks are happening within the news today. There is some more news come out. You know, this international break, as it does say, the spin, you have to spin for the win. Steve Elsie says, "Evening, mate. Welcome, Steve. You're a legend." Danny B, legend of the chat. I hope you're doing extremely well. Now, YouTube has been playing up all day. I've done my investigations today, and YouTube has been playing up. But let's see how the show goes this evening. You never know what is gonna happen on these streams. First of all, if you're new to the channel, I am JB. One thing I'll always say, get into this community, this is the best community. We are the best community. We may not be the biggest, but we are the best. Get into the chat, be respectful as you possibly can. We don't mind the banter. We absolutely do not mind the banter, but as long as it's respectful, we always have some of the most respectful, brilliant rival fans on here. Rival fans are welcome to come on here. We do love that, and as we say, banter is more than welcome on here. Of course, it is. Get into the chat. Let me know what you heard. Chilip Play says hi JB. We've had YouTube issues all day today, so let's see how this stream goes. It is in and out all day today, and I just don't know what is going on with it today, but we'll see. Don't want Vlahovic, we need midfielders. I completely agree. One other thing, I'm not a dictator of this chat, so you know the reason why these shows that do take so long is because I do generally do read out your chats. I respect your opinion. I hope you respect mine. Definitely respect the chat opinions as well. We can get on to some good stuff. Tulip Play says, legend of the chat, Shesko is fine up top. I agree. We can come into it all as well. As it says, spin should be called spin for the win, in my humble opinion. Everything again, and I think the interesting thing today was we went through some of the Jason Wilcox comments today, and it's so many contradictions. I do have it somewhere here as well today. I wanted to start off with the MEN, Manchester Evening News, and some of the fucking tripe that's coming out of there again. I just don't understand how they know what they think they know. I think as everybody says, people have to sell column inches, and at times I don't know. I don't know how these people can get away with the things that they say, because it's such an interesting topic. They can spew exactly what they want to do. So again, I just report the news. We come on when we talk about it. YouTube is definitely playing it up again tonight, so we'll see how far we go, because yeah, these I'm being absolutely murdered on these streams. Tonight it is in and out, and it's just say it's not the best. Steve says, Chilip agreed, if we bring in a striker ahead, then we'll destroy the lad. And you know, I do have an opinion on strikers. Do I think we need another striker? Now, I think we do. And whilst I don't necessarily think that Vlahovic, and we'll go through the Vlahovic stats, we'll go through his stats as we always do. We'll go through that. We'll look at it. I think we do need a backup striker. I do think we need a more experienced striker. I'm not saying Vlahovic is the guy, but I do think we need more of a backup striker type, just to more so to understand that Shesko is going to be the number one striker, but somebody there to basically lend a hand, teach him, but can offer something and maybe even push Shesko. Steve says, what's happening to Cheeto? From what I know, from what I read, look, the problem is, Steve, is I think that there's not enough game time. There's just not enough game time for Cheeto to basically come and play. I think this is the repercussions, and I think this is maybe not an unexpected one, but I think this is the repercussions of no European football and being out of the Carabao Cup. I think he's ready, and I think Danny B, you're spot on. I don't think he's ready. I think imagine if we had European games, Carabao Cup games. I think that Cheeto could have played. Where's Cheeto going? Like my question here is that how can Cheeto play? We've got these games that we must win in the Premier League. Are you going to throw in Cheeto into a Spurs game? Let's just say we're playing Spurs, which we are going to do. Let's just say it's 0-0, 87th. Are we going to chuck, and Shesko is, tired. He's not scored a goal. Are we going to chuck him on to win us the game? No. And we can't do that. And it's not fair. So, and I think as Rick said, they've got to blood him in the FA Cup. But then the problem with that then, Rick, is that we've got to win the FA Cup. Steve says, Maguire. Exactly, right? So depending on the FA Cup draw, I would like to think, Rick, that we could throw in some youth players to bed them in. And of course, the problem that we've got is the Grimsby game. I'm going to argue that that's probably, again, that's hindered us as well for the season. So I do agree. I think that it's so difficult to bed in these players, and in preference to the league, exactly. So I think it's a very, very difficult time with the youth at present. So let's talk about Vlad. Well, let's talk a little bit about the spin first. So there's spin going on. So we will get into that. The Manchester Evening News talking about basically how we're not in for a wing back. We're in for a centre back. We can talk about that because there are many centre backs that we have at this club. Do I think that we're okay for a centre back? Yes. For now, I think it's a position that I think we will need to review at some point. But I think as of now, I think we've got cover. And 2 centre midfielders in the summer. Now, bearing in mind, all the reports are today of Anderson for £70 million. But apparently, according to the MEN now, we're going to push that back until the next window. And actually, what we are going to do is we're going to look for some loan players, but totally contradicts what Amorim has said. It totally contradicts the report. So we'll get on to that as well. So Vlahovic. So as of this evening, breaking news, if you like, Vlahovic is back on the scene. Now, one question that I am going to ask you. So for Vlahovic, now the quoted price for Vlahovic is £12.5 million. Now, during the summer, there were reports that Juventus were going to cancel the contract. We're basically going to pay him off and cancel the contract. Now, of course, that hasn't been done. Of course, that sort of hasn't been done because Vlahovic, I believe, is on quite a high wage. Hence the reason why they want to get rid of that wage off of their book. Now, apparently, he's available for £12.5 million. Now, there's going to be some length on the contract. So my question to you would be, if, for example, you could get a Vlahovic for £12.5 million, would you entertain taking the striker? That is my question. Vlahovic for £12.5 million, would it be a too good a deal to basically turn down? Let's go through some of his stats this season. Vlahovic is 25. He's going to be 26. Hussein Jamal says no. I've got an opinion on that. So this season, look, he's played 10 Serie A games. He has played in the Champions League and he's played in World Cup qualification. So he's played 10 games in Serie A, scored 3, 0 assists. Champions League, played 4, scored 3. World Cup qualification, played 6, scored 2. So he's basically played 20 games this season, scored 8 goals and assisted 2. So you can say that he basically scores or assists in every half a game. He's also 25, going to be 26 in 2 months' time. So let's go through some of his stats. And again, I'll always prefix all of these shows and everything else with look. Stats for me are a guide. I bring you stats for those of you who sort of care about this sort of stuff. But again, I think the eye test is probably for me the metric to use. So going for forward play, non-penalty goals every 90 minutes, I should say. When I read these figures out, the percentiles is obviously up to 100%. But if a player is 100%, it basically means he's top of the top for that particular stat. So the higher the percentile up to 100%, the better that attribute is. So non-penalty goals for every 90 is 0.43, which puts him in the 63rd percentile, which is okay. For non-penalty XG, 0.43, which puts him in the 71st percentile. Total of shots per 90 is 3.65, which puts him in the 92nd percentile. Assists per 90, 0.24, which is in the 86th percentile. Those two figures combined, he puts him as 0.52 per game, 61st percentile. Shot creation actions, 2.69 per game, which is 74th percentile. Touches in the attacking penalty box. So we can look at progressive carries. 1.63 per game puts him up in the 70th percentile. Things like attempted passes, 46th percentile, pass completion, 50th percentile. So not the best at passing, attempted passing, progressive passes. Progressive carries, 1.63 a game, 75th percentile. Successful take-ons, 0.58 in the 51st percentile. Touches in the attacking penalty box, 6.67 in the 96th percentile. Progressive passes recorded, 6.96 per 90 in the 87th percentile. Aerials 2.26 in the 64th percentile. So we are talking, I think, somebody who's quite average. I think he's on quite a high wage as well. I think he's on about, I think it's something like 300, might even be more than that, like 300, I think it's £250,000 a week. He's obviously going to want that if his contract is cancelled. So I do think what we're seeing here, as I do think we are seeing regurgitation. And again, this is regurgitation on my part because I'm reporting something that we've already discussed during the summer months, and I'm just bringing it back up again. So again, I think this is regurgitation. I think what is happening now is what we're seeing is that we're seeing these easy, low-hanging fruit stories, I think, from the summer of basically some players that we're probably going to go back in for because nobody knows what's going on. As we've established in the summer, David Ornstein, Romano are the two really goats that know stuff and get fed stuff. So I think what is happening now is that we're seeing the regurgitation of basically some of these stories where he says, if you could, would you want us to go back to a back four over a 3-4-3? I do prefer a back four. My preference is a back four. My preference is a back four with a proper defensive midfielder sat in front of the two centre backs. Then you've got your two centre midfielders. One can be more attacking than the other, and then you can have a front three. I do prefer a back four. I do. Is it a 3-4-3 or 5-2-3? It's a. I did have a thing in it. It's basically one out of possession and one in possession. So it's like a three. It's a three. What is it? It's a 3-5-1-2. What is it? It's a 3. It's a 3-4. It's a 3-3-4-2-1. Grace says it's a 3-4-2-1, 5-2-3-1 in defensive shape. Yeah, exactly that. It's a 3-4-2-1. I would much prefer to play with width. That's probably old school thinking, but for me, that's where I much prefer using the flanks. I much prefer to play width. I much prefer using the whole of the pitch. Up and down your left back, left winger supporting each other. It doesn't even matter if you then got your three in the midfield. As long as you've got that really high intensity defensive midfielder, your two CMs can almost split and they can support the left and right backs as well. And then it depends then if you deploy left forwards, right forwards. That is how I much prefer to play. But Amorim doesn't want to play that way. So Vlahovic for me, I think no more Giggsy or Kanchelskis, and that's it, isn't it? I love those wingers. You could argue you could probably put Lee Sharp in there as well. Rod, what's his name? So Wallace as well. I used to love him in there as well. Old-fashioned wingers. I do love a winger. Overmars, that's why I quite like. I quite liked Dembele. I think when he was a winger. What was his name? Juventus. So Ruben as well. I thought he was fantastic. I'm a winger. I played a winger. I like that position. I much prefer that. We have no more Giggsy. We have a Delo, and he's better than both. Come on now, Grace. I know you're a legend of the chat, and I know you really like him, but I know you're being cheeky, Grace. Steve says, how many goals are headers other than set pieces? How many goals are headers other than set pieces? That's a good question. I in terms of what, Steve, are you talking about just overplay, or are we talking about our play, or are we just talking about like the Premier League? I think headed goals right now, in other than a set pieces, you don't really get them now, Steve. I think you're right. There is nothing like, in my view, there is nothing like a Beckham cross. There is nothing like a Beckham cross into the box and just a smashing header. I think headering is a dying art. I think headering is an art form now that has died out. I think only from set pieces. I don't think people like to cross the ball into the box anymore, Steve. I think you're right. They are the days of left-footed players and left and right-footed players on the right. I get it. I do get it, but say it with me, sir. Diego Dalot. No. He is our worst player. And Grace, obviously, that I respect you, Grace, and I respect the opinion. This is not me coming back on your opinion. This is just me having my opinion. He is awful. The Forest game, I don't know if you watched the Forest game. I did. I've tried not to go in on these players as much this week. He is terrible. He is awful. So for me, Vlahovic is a no. I do think this is a bunch of spin. I think this is low-hanging fruit again. I think this is a story being picked up. I think this is a story being pulled out of a drawer. They've blown off the dust and they've gone, right, what stories now can we put out there again? 12.5 million. I don't think Juventus are gonna, the guy is, he's not a mug. And Juventus are going to want some money for him. So 12.5 million, I don't think so. I think this is one of those stories, and I think we're going to repeat this. And this is all part of the spin. This is all part of it. as well. And I think what we are going to see is this story of spin. And I think that is what we will see for the next however long it is. I think we are just going to see spin. So I think that's where we are on that one. So let's go on to the athletic stuff. I think those, I don't know who saw the show this afternoon. We did talk about Wilcox and his basically the interview that he did with MUTV, and also bringing in some of the Amorim stuff that he's basically saying, and along with the club saying that, and this is a good prefix to what I'm about to say, is that what has been said is that United do not, and I was of this opinion, and I'm still of this opinion. I semi-agree with the MEN on this one, because I still think that we have to be careful on this. So what has been said is this, that United, and this has come from Amorim as well, and this is in the press conference, right? So this was the press conference last week, and Amorim said this himself. So I don't know where the MEN have plucked this from, but Amorim said this, okay? Steve says, David says, yo JB, hello David, hope you're doing extremely well. I'd like to see Cunha as a false 9 with Mbumo on the right, and a tasty left winger, and Shesko off the bench to stretch the game late on. City 3-1 Dortmund, Newcastle 2-0 if anyone is interested. David, yo JB. So Rúben Amorim basically said that we're in the market looking for long-term players. We're not interested in loan players for the short term. Dave says Barcelona's defense is worse than ours. I don't think Barcelona in their defense are great. I don't think either Madrid or Barcelona are going to get anywhere near the Champions League this season, but that's just my humble opinion on it. So Amorim basically said that we're not after the short term. We're after players to come in who can make the difference longer than this season, long-term players. Now, on the back of that, we've heard Anderson today, a £70 million bid, or we're going to put a bid in for him in the next window. Where you getting these kits? This is my original kit. This one is my original one from 2013. I do have my original 99 just there. I have actually ordered, which I'm waiting for. I have ordered some replica shirts. I don't know what's going on there. I have ordered some replica shirts as well, which should be coming. Which should be coming quite soon as well. So there's a website. I mean, I'll put it in the community links. But yeah, I mean, this is my original top. The Aeon bit has flaked off. Apparently, we're not looking at a wing back. They know what I know. And Grace, and I wanted. So again, we will get into that as well. So that was reported in the MEN as well. So I just wanted to prefix this with Amorim and the club have come out and said that we're not looking for loaned players. We are looking for long-term players to come in and make a difference and stay with the team. Now, my problem with this statement, for me, I think this is another way of basically saying there is going to be no value in the market. As I've said many times in here, we don't do business in January window. We just don't do it. We got Dorgu last year, but can you really count that? So I think we almost lining ourselves up. Now, before Amorim said that, I was of the opinion that we would do loans. We would go and loan some players because just to get us through the season. Now, Amorim himself has put pay to that. Now, let's go to the MEN and what, and we are going to talk wing backs here. So the MEN, basically, sorry, it was the Athletic. I do apologise. It wasn't the MEN, it was the Athletic. I do apologise to the MEN. It's not them. I did say that at the top of the show. It's not the MEN, just to be clear. It is the Athletic. Now, going by what they've said this. United are not going to go for a wing back in the summer, but they are looking at centre backs and 2 CMs. Now, again, to quote Will Cox, who said this today, I don't know how the Athletic could know any of this because nobody comes out and tells them a fucking dicky bird. Nobody tells them anything, right? So Will Cox has basically said they look at the window, they look at what they need on a case-by-case basis. They look at it on a week-to-week. They no wing back. Will they respect me, Grace? Grace, they do. Look, Grace, in life, someone has to win. But I'm telling you now, if your favourite player plays against Spurs, then we lose. He's awful. He's awful, Grace. So, look, according to the Athletic, we're not going to go for a wing-back in the summer. We're going to look at a centre-back and 2 centre midfielders. So, let's just pick that apart for a second. So, centre-backs-wise, apparently Harry Maguire is going to sign a brand new deal. We're going to have Martinez back, and according to many of you and according to his fan base, Martinez is going to be the saviour. Martinez is going to come back. Martinez is going to be the best thing since sliced bread, and Martinez is going to save this team. So that's 2 there already. Luke Shaw's going nowhere. Luke Shaw is going absolutely zero where, so he's going to be in there. Yoro, Mazraoui, Delict, that's 6, 7 centre backs. So I'm already calling bullshit on that. I'm already calling crap. Unless we are getting rid of Maguire, Luke Shaw, those 2 for starters. Okay, we've got Heaven as well. So we've got Aiden Heaven. So we've got Luke Shaw, Delict, Yoro, Heaven, Maguire, Mazraoui, Martinez. 7. So why the hell are we going to go for a centre-back and not a wing-back? Now, let's look at the wing-backs that we've got for a second. Grace says Dalot can play centre-back. He can play centre-back on a different pitch. So if we're looking at the wing-backs, who have we got that can play a wing-back? So we've got Mazraoui, not a wing-back, but he can do a job. Ahmad, not a wing-back, but there you go. Dorgu, you can argue he's a left-back, wing-back. And we have the man himself, the Portuguese wonder, Amorim's cousin, or whoever he is, to play either side as well. So, I think wing-back is a priority position. I do think it is. And for the Athletic to basically suggest that we're going to go for a centre-back and 2 CMs. And we'll get on to the CMs bit as well. What are we saying? Kevin McGee says DeMarco would be tops. Shaw can get an injury and come back just before the World Cup. Exactly, Steve. And that's exactly the Ballon d'Or ought to be as well, Grace. I love Grace. She cracks me up. So it's very, very confusing. Now, contrary to their reports as well, there are, and again, this is where we've got to be careful of spin, okay? This is the summer all over again, just on a smaller scale. You've got on one hand today, there were reports basically saying, David says no more Dillo. I agree with you. I think, Grace, I think you're on your own on this one. And of course, we do respect you, Grace. We would absolutely respect your opinion. Mr. Tyler Bryan, none of your business. No disrespect. Ben just says, good evening, tea drinkers. None of your business. I'm not going to answer that question. This is not a show format, and it's none of your business. So centre back wise, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I do like to give people a chance as well. But yeah, you're gone. The ban hammer has come down. We don't like to get into the banter. This is a different sort of show tonight. Once we've gone through this stuff, you guys bring in your opinions. I'd love to know your opinions tonight on the Spurs game. We are just talking about the athletic stuff that has come out there. It's completely contrary to what has come out today from all sorts of sources. It's contrary, in fact, to what Amorim said in the conference before the Forest game. So let me know about Spurs. Let me know what you think about the Spurs game. Do you think we're going to win or lose? I'll give you my opinion again on that. I do have some opinions on that Spurs game as well as to what I think could or probably will happen based on the team. Tell me who you think should be in that team. Would you change anything? Is that 12:30? So don't forget, it is at 12:30 away to Spurs as well. So give me your opinions in or not. I do want to know about that as well. Ben just says 1-1 tie. Coming from the Arsenal man who's probably going to win the league, who at the moment look a bit unstoppable. So again, centre back, I don't agree with it at all. Now, centre midfielders, this is where the interesting piece is. So the Athletic are talking about signing centre midfielders, but in the summer. I don't disagree with that statement. I am semi of that opinion that I think we'll probably go and still look for a loan player, even though Amorim is insistent. Who's an Arsenal fan? Get out! It's the legend that is Bender. Benja. Sorry, Benja. Liverpool looked pumped yesterday. There's no Arsenal fan named Benja here. No, you're Spurs, aren't you, Benja? I think you're Spurs, aren't you, mate? No, Grace, it's been a long old day today. Sorry, Benja. I think you're a Spurs fan, aren't you, mate? I do apologise. It's been a long ass day today. YouTube's playing up. It has not been the best day today. So do I think that there we are looking at two centre backs? Let's get back to United. So look, do we need two centre midfielders? Yes, we do. Now there are contrary reports. I think Spurs look good. I think I'll give you my opinion, Benja, on it as well. I'll give you my short opinion on the game now, and then we can talk about it at length in a bit. Belabor. I'll give my opinion now on the Spurs game. And for us, could be very, very painful if we turn up like we did. And after that Spurs performance, I watched the game where even though they went down to 10 men, you say that, Grace, but Spurs went down to 10 men and they absolutely tore the arse of it. We have got a pivot, a really weak pivot. Spurs, as we've already spoken, we've done the preview of Spurs. Spurs are very inconsistent, but Van de Ven worries the hell out of me. That Van de Ven goal was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the way that he picks it up just in front of the Spurs box and basically just runs through. I mean, no one's catching that lad, are they? I mean, our pivot, Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro, Mason Mount, if Mason Mount was supposed to play, trying to catch that. I mean, I get that, Grace, but at the same time, that is unbelievable. So look, I'm somewhere between Grace and Benja as well. Agreed, Ahmad's was a great shot, but nine times out of 10 that goes into Rosed, but that run by Van de Ven was just unbelievable. So, you know, this could be two teams cancelling each other out. So, two CMs. Where am I on this? I still think this whole talk of going for Anderson, going for all these midfield players, I do hope it's true. Anderson today, you know, there are reports that £70 million. We believe we can get him for around 60. I don't believe that. I think you are more around 70, £75 million mark. I challenge the club to either Anderson or Edison. Anderson for me. And I'll tell you the reason why. And I tell you the reason why for me is that we need Premier League proven players. I do agree with Benja. I do like him, but I think he's going to be very, very expensive. I think it is, mate. I do, Benja. I agree with you. I know people are dead against him after the couple of games that he's had. He came back injured. I still like him. There's an opportunity to get him in now. If it was him or a loan move, I would get him now. And I wouldn't mind him and an Anderson long term. Completely agree. I absolutely would. Unless we've got our stalls out and we know we're going to get either one or two of the players that we need and want in that midfield position in the summer window, fine, go and get a lone player. But my worry, my initial concern, because I know how this club works, is that we'll be talking about these players, putting it out there to the media. The time comes and it's going to be, there's no value in the market. So I challenge this club. Right now to go and do an Anderson deal, to go and do that sort of deal and show the Premier League that you mean it. Show the Premier League that you are going to mean it. So, and again, I don't know how the Athletic, and this is based on my only issue is putting all of our faith in one midfield transfer. Anderson isn't going to be our saviour. What is he? What if he has a bad game? We still need Stiller and Anderson. Grace, look, I'm with you. I want them both, but I'm still of the opinion that, you know, for example, Stiller, we're all jumping on that bandwagon, including me. But if you look at Wirtz tore up the Bundesliga. If you look historically with German players don't always do well. I think there's a high percentage of German players that don't do well here, right? He's a risk. If you look at Wirtz was head and shoulders above every other midfielder. You look at what happened there. I completely agree. I like Stiller and I think he's worth a gamble. But it is a gamble. I do think if we can get Anderson, I'm not saying that Anderson. The reason why I say we need to get this player now, he's not going to be the saviour. He's going to have a bad game. He's not going to be the saviour. But I think this is about stealing a march. I think this is about stealing a march on the rivals and getting a player done now. Because don't forget there is a World Cup. Players going to come in at the back end. Or sorry, they're going to go out on the back end of the window. And I think we need to try and get ahead now. So if we can do some of our business now, and we go get a midfielder now, and then on the back end of the window, then we go get another centre midfielder, fine. I'm happy with that. But I do think we need to, whether it's a Baleba, whether it's a Stiller, Anderson, I think we need to go and worth that. And Grace says, is he worth 70 million though? Can he handle the pressure of the price tag? And Grace, that is the question. And I think Grace, as always, I think that's a fantastic point. I know, Grace, I think you make some fantastic points on here. And I do think that is a great point. That is the $1 million question, or that is the $70 million question. You know, you look at Isak. Isak is injured. Is he worth the money? You know, Wirtz, can he handle the pressure? Is he worth the money. At the moment, he's getting better and better and better. As I've said on here many, many times, Wirtz is going to be a good player. It's going to take time. And that is the question. You go and get Stiller. My question back, Grace, would probably be, as much as I agree with that, and I think it's a very, very excellent point, is it comes down to this, right? If you had a choice of Stiller or Anderson, right? And bear in mind, Anderson, I think he was the, and I've had people on here this afternoon telling me that, and giving me quoting me Anderson's stats for the last game, telling me that Casemiro was the man of the match. Fucking wasn't. Would you rather Anderson for 70 million, who's proven it in the Premier League, or would you rather have Stiller for 60 and take a risk for him to embed himself in the Premier League? That for me is the conundrum, really. But so do you think it can challenge for the league? Oh, Bird. Bird. I mean, why? Why would you? Why? Look, there are channels out, and mate, look, I'm not calling you out. I'm not calling the opinion out. This is that sort of show. Tonight, if I do come back on opinions, it's not because I'm coming back on your opinion. It literally is just you've asked a question, and I'm just thinking about what's been out there. This is not we are the best channel. We're not the biggest channel. Now, I've said this a couple of times. There are many channels out there. One of the biggest, and one of the biggest pile of bollocks and nonsense I've fucking seen, and this is not aimed at you, I've seen, is this total and utter trash bollock talk of winning the league. We're not challenging for a league title. I mean, it is, I will be blunt. I mean, if we are, I will be absolutely stunned, my friend. How can we, in my view, and I've watched every single game, right? The only two games that I think we've actually played well in is the Arsenal game, and I think we played well pretty much from start to finish. We showed glimpses against Fulham. We showed glimpses against some other teams as well. The only other game I would say that I felt comfortable in was the Brighton game, but we still conceded 2 goals there. Every other game, I don't think we look good. To be title contenders, the question, right, and this is it: are we going to keep pace with Arsenal? No. We've got to keep pace with Arsenal. We're nowhere near Arsenal. Can we keep pace with City, who beat us, spanked us? No. So for me to be in a title race, and this is the problem, and this is not me having a pop at you, my friend, because that's a valid opinion and question to have, is that this is why channels need to be careful about the crap that they spew out, because we are nowhere near a title challenge. We are nowhere near. I mean, I will die on this hill, right? I think that we will finish, and I've been saying this all season. I've said it today, yesterday, when I ever get asked this question. I think that we will finish somewhere between 8th and 10th. Should we be aiming for Champions League or Europa League based on the squad? Yes. If you look at players and you look at monetary value of players and the wages of players, should we be fighting for a league? Hell yes. But these are not good players. Some of these players are not good enough. Some of these players are playing in the wrong. They're not designed for this back three. We have one game a week. Look, we have one game a week. This is how I know we're not going to win the league. One game a week, and Forest played Porto midweek. 2-0, they won. and they out muscled us. They had more energy, more muscle. They wanted the ball more than us, and we play one game a week. That's how I know we're not going to win a league. So, long-winded answer. No. Benji says top 5. Steve says Anderson was highly rated at Newcastle, but wanted first team, so I think he's the lesser risk. Challenge, we're winning the lot. If you're a true fan, listen up. Don't even worry about the place you finish this season. Week to week, you're an Amorim gone or in, and that's exactly it, Benja. I think you're right. I don't believe in this true fan stuff, right? I mean, but I think consistency, and I've been consistent. If you listen to me, I've been called all sorts of stuff on here, and I'll reference back after the Grimsby game, right, where we lost. We didn't just lose; we got spanked, right? We got spanked, and I'm in. But Benja, I agree with you. This season is about learning, progression. Next season is the same again. We have to go into each window. It's a week by week. But the problem that we got in this fan base, and this is the problem. This is the problem, right? Is there's no consistency anywhere. The one thing I like to say that we try to do on this channel is consistency. There is so much inconsistency out there. That is what throws this fan base off. We've got from 1 week, we're going to win the league. From next week, Amorim's getting sacked. The next week, this is happening. The next week, that is happening. There is no consistency. You've got channels, and I'm not going to name it. Somebody sent me a still or a clip. You've got presenters on a United, a poignant people presenting a United show in a fucking AC Milan top. I mean, this is the sort of disrespect that now that we're getting people who are presenting news about this club and presenting this club wearing an AC Milan shirt. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I honestly thought that it was fake. I genuinely thought that somebody had used AI to create this short clip of some guy on a fan channel wearing an AC Milan top. I mean, no wonder this fan base is turned upside down. United will win the league this season. Arsenal are trash. Isha, look, mate, what we do on here is we don't do bullshit. We don't talk crap, mate. You are welcome here. As I say, everyone's entitled to their opinion on here. This is your show tonight. I won't come too much in your opinion. I'm not going to come on your. I'm not going to come back at you. But look, we're not winning the league this season, and Arsenal are not trash. They're just not. Benja took Arsenal years to get where they are, and still don't fully trust them to start. Versus respect you. Thank you, my friend. Grace says Premier League and FA Cup. Kevin McGee says just consider it's taken Arsenal 6 years to become a serious team. Kevin, straight in there, mate, with a legend, and straight in there with a fantastic comment. I just made Dillo 99 on FIFA, and he's better than Yamal. Dillo is better than Yamal anyway. Ben just said fake news. Grace, you must have missed the goal Yamal just scored. Barca didn't win. Yeah, they played a ridiculously high line. Arsenal won't win another game. Put this into perspective. At this point in Messi's career, he barely had 10 goals. Yamal is getting 20 to 40 season already. You're talking on. We dominate Forest in every department apart from the score. Kevin, I disagree, mate. My question, Kevin, and I'm not having a pop, and I promise you I'm not, right? and we're talking about stats, right? Did you watch the game? That's all I'm going to ask you is, did you watch the game? And it's not because I'm going to call you out. We dominated possession, right? The stats say, I think the stats say that we had more possession. Forest had more shots. Forest had more opportunities than us. Mate, I watched the game. Like, we had more possession of the ball, but we did nothing with it. Like, Casemiro was not the man of the match. Forest were a better team. Like, if you watch football, Kevin, and I promise you, my friend, if you watch the game and that's your opinion, and even if you didn't watch the game and that's your opinion, mate, I'm not going to call you out. I watched that game. We weren't great. We weren't great, mate. I don't. We just weren't good. You know, we might have had more of the ball, but Forest had more shots. You know, Forest kept crossing it into the box constantly. They had shots. The problem is Forest can't score goals. Like, we were not the better team. We weren't, mate. We just weren't. I'm sorry. We just weren't the better team. United. Thanks, Nam. Thank you, my friend. Not with me here. We can change the channel name to We Hate Arsenal. Don't look at how many times Delo got ran through. It was a 3 p.m. game, exactly. But Grace, I managed to watch the game. I watched the game. So and again, when I say, Kevin, did you watch the game? I'm not asking you because I'm trying to say that because I watched the game, my opinion's any more of an authority than yours. It's just not that. The reason why I'm asking if you watched the game is basically because I watched the game, and if I'd have looked at those stats, I would have been like, okay, we were in the game. But if you look at context, this is why stats from me hide a lot. Stats from me hide so much. We were not good in that Forest game. We were not good. We just really, really weren't. We was lucky they weren't clinical. And Dino, spot on, mate. You know, I know. I mean, look, let me look at the stats, right? Let me just call up the stats for a second, and I just want to see Forest versus United stats, game stats. Okay, right. Let's have a little look. Okay. Let's have a little look. No, nothing there. Let's try and get some stats up. There we go. Let's see what we've got. What are we saying here? Stats. Okay, so and these are just some random stats that I found. So United had 58.8 possession, 41.2 for Nottingham Forest. Apparently, we had 7 shots on goal compared to Forest's 3. 17 shots attempted for Forest, 18 shots attempted for us. They had 8 corner kicks. We had 5, 4 saves, 1 save from us. I'm telling you now, if you've watched that game, those stats are not reflective of that game. I do not see where we got 18 shots from. Percentage-wise, you can argue percentage-wise, yes, we do keep the ball reasonably well, but Forest did so much with that ball. It doesn't give you crosses into the box. It doesn't tell you how many times we were ran through. It doesn't tell you how many times we were dispossessed. It doesn't tell you how many interceptions that were made. It doesn't give you those important stats. It just gives you those headline stats: corners, cards, shots attempted, shots on goal. I'm telling you now that is not reflective of the game that I watched. That would insinuate to me that Forest were either on equal playing field or they were lucky to get a draw. They weren't. Forest were the better team. If anything, we were lucky to get the draw. I never felt at any point that we were going to win that match. I always felt if we were going to win it, it'd be a smash and grab, and that's the perfect example there of a game whereby those stats are not reflective of a game. Dino says, Grace says, I didn't watch it. I had to listen to Michael Dawson and Sky Sports commentary. Dino says, we weren't great. If it was a Forest fan, I will be disappointed we didn't put us away with ease. And Dino, you're right. And again, this is what I mean about stats. If you look at the stats of that game, it will tell you a different picture to what actually happened. You had to win a game. Wait, it was tied. Oops. There you go. So look, Athletic. Let's get back on to the Athletic. So what else did they say? They basically went on to say that that we would only bring in someone in if Mainu or Xerxes left. Now it's been established for the longest time that they don't want to let Mainu go. They don't want to let Xerxes go. Again, I've had this opinion, and this is my opinion. Look, I could have written this, right? I could have given my opinion, and I could have said what I think will happen. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you my opinion, and because I want it on here so people can look back and just say you was wrong, right? So the Athletics say that basically they're only going to bring someone in if Mainu goes or if Xerxes leaves, and then obviously it is basically a fluff piece. What's my opinion? My opinion is this, right? We and again, I'm still going to report the news. Whenever it comes out, I will come back on. I will report the news, but I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be consistent in my view. I'm going to be consistent because it means that if I'm consistent, then if it's better than my view, then it means that we will win, right? Dino says, would you take Shesko out? Would you take Shesko out for a game or two and start Xerxes to try to keep Shesko fresh? No. And the reason why I wouldn't is we've got one game a week. Like, these professional players can play one game a week. And Dino, that's the reason why I wouldn't. Now, when we get up to Christmas, we do have a game every 4 to 5 days. So at that point, Dino, yes. 100%, but playing one game a week, 100% no. But we are just going to come into the build-up of that game every 4 days. You don't even use Xerxes or Mainu. Would Loneys even be given game time? Grace, and that is the point. Good point there as well from Grace. I would say the only reason you'd bring in a loanee would be to start them, unless they're bringing in cover, which I think they need to do. I don't see why you'd bring in a loanee if Casemiro is going to play. If Casemiro is going to play every single game, I would bring in a loaned player or a player to replace Casemiro. Casemiro can't do this the whole season. He can't do it. The fact that he is, I think, is incredible. I've got to give him props. I still don't think he's the greatest player that we have. I still think he's slow as shit. I still think but he's doing a job. And I tip my hat to him that he's keeping Ugarte out of the club. Now, what do I think is going to happen? Because a good bet would be so Gallagher will come in and he will play. So this is where I'm at, Dino, right? And I've been consistent on this. And there's talk of Baleba, there's talk of Anderson, there's talk of all sorts of people, right? So this is where I am at on all of this, and I'm going to be consistent. Is I think that we do loans. I think this talk of Anderson is just a bunch of spin. I don't think we've got the money there. there's going to be talk of cash. I think Amorim has summed it up, and I think people are going to sleep on this as well. Grace says, if don't make sense to loan out Manu, loaning someone like and drop Casemiro to the bench with Ugarte. I think it does. I think it does because I think we need another centre midfielder in there. So Grace, I don't think it would be to. I think Casemiro could go to the bench. But with the amount of games and stuff that we're going to have, I think towards the back end of the season when people get injured more, I think that we're going to need someone else, and Ugarte is not good enough. Steve, I think you're right. I think the only way Steeler comes in is if Bruno departs. So I think you're right on that one. I also think the only way Manu stays is if he goes as well. Grace says... So a Bruno and excuse me, so Gallagher and a Bruno pivot, yuck. Right now, I'm not really impressed with the Casemiro one either. Casemiro, offensively, we've got two types of pivot from what I've seen. We've got the open wide pivot, so when we on the attack, we've got the open pivot. And when we're defensive, we have more of that closed pivot. Casemiro in that destroyer, in that closed pivot, is very, very good. The amount of times that we get run through is ridiculous. We need younger legs in there. And whilst I agree it's probably not the best pivot, it's still better. I think it will be better physically than what it is now. That's just my humble opinion on it. So what do I think we do? I don't think we do a lot. I think Amorim has said this. Don't sleep on these words. Thoughts on Eblaber? I like him. I like him. My opinion on him hasn't changed. Just because look, he started the season injured. He came back injured. Right. It's taken him a couple of games to get back. His fitness isn't peak. His fitness isn't. I think it's starting to come back. His head's been turned. I like Vlahovic. There's no way I didn't even want to pay 120 million when he was at the peak of his powers, right at the end of last season. I like Vlahovic. I would sign him. I would. I'm not going to lie. You know, if there's an opportunity to get him, would I get him? Yes, I would. Do I think there are slightly better players than him? I think there are better all-round players. I think Anderson, if I could get Anderson over him. But again, I think this flip-flop nature of this fan base, I think this because he's had a couple of not-so-great games, because he played against us and wasn't great, there's this short-termism. And I'd still sign him. I really would. Not for God's sake, not for like 100 million, but if we're talking 65, 70 million, I'd sign him all day long. Grace says our two midfielders don't need to go forward, they just need to stay in the middle, be able to pass and have legs. I disagree with you. Our midfielders absolutely do need to drive this team forward. These midfielders, the point of this pivot is to go back and forth. The point of this pivot is not to stay in the centre of that pitch. It's just not. It just really isn't. The point of the pivot is to basically move backwards and forwards with the whole team. You can have one slightly staying back, but our midfield splits. That pivot has got a massive gap in it. Our two midfielders, their job is to go forward and come back. They need to be up and down. They don't necessarily both need to be box to box, but they absolutely do need to run forward, and they absolutely do need to win back. When we play a high line, they absolutely have to be forward. When we play this high line, their job is to win that ball high, and then the job is to run back. That is their job, is to run forward, back, forward, back. That is the whole purpose of them in this pivot. City fan here. We loan Cherky and midfield. We need will loan Cherky and Foden to United to make City Manchester great again. Look, Foden. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do with Foden. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of Foden. Like on his days, I'm playable, but I just don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. We need some steel in the midfield, so we lack so much the Forest game. I agree. So what's the point of the number 10s? Well, the point of the number 10s. So if what you're saying, Grace, and again, this is just my opinion. I'm not, is that so? If what you're saying is basically then the number 10s should be the ones who are running back and forward, then where's the width? The wing backs are supposed to supply that width, right? But our number 10 split. Like our number 10s, their job is to come back, but their job is not to come all the way back and then go forward. Their job is to come back a bit and then go forward, but also split. Their job is also to get wide. Their job is to basically split, get wide, support the wing backs, but also get to the centre. Those CM jobs is to go forward and back. And I'm not talking about going forward into the opposing box, but their job is not to stay in the centre of that park. It's basically the whole team is basically to win that ball high, but ultimately the job of those centre midfielders is to run back, run forward as well as back. Number 10s are there to stay forward, come back a little bit, but then also be offensively, again, win that ball high, stay high, split, get width. But those two CMs, their job is absolutely to run forward and back. Bruno goes forward in Cunha's area. Bruno goes forward into Cunha's area. He's been told. Again, Fernandes is naturally a number 10. Again, that's part of his job is to run forward and come back. Now, Cunha, part of his job, and again, is to come back, is to drop deeper, not super deep, because that is what that centre midfielder should do. But the whole point is that we go forward and back together. Fernandes is ill-disciplined. That's why Fernandes plays in that number 8 role, is because trying to get him to come back is non-existent. He literally scored a brace against Dortmund tonight and go off, I guess. Look, I didn't see him. The thing is, I don't watch you guys, so I don't know. I mean, from what I saw of him last season, I didn't think he was great, but I don't watch you enough. So that's what I'm saying is I don't doubt that Foden is a fantastic player. I just don't know what I would do to him. And also I didn't see that he scored tonight. So look, I think he works in your system. I think he's a good player. He is a good player. There is no doubt about that. But look, he's not for me. Milo LFC says, good evening, sir. Scott is in the house. Hope you're doing really well. JB, if you were the coach of a brand new club, what formation, tactics, philosophy would you use? I like the Klopp style. I really do like that high pressing style. I play with the back four. I would play with a back four. I'd play with, I'd want tall, fast back four. I quite like pacey, powerful wingers. I'd definitely want a Makalele type. I'd have 3 in the middle. I'd have an ultra defensive, maybe not ultra defensive, but I like the Busquets sort of style of player. I like, again, then I'd have those 2 playmaking midfield players. I want those hard-working midfielders. I want to proper striker, like a Haaland. I want a proper striker. And then I'd have those tricky forward, left and and I wouldn't play inverted. I'd have left and right forward players that are again high energy, pace, and I'd run a Klopp style of football. That is the sort of football that I like. I like wing play. I like to get it out wide. I like to have a good spine. Pace, power. Dino, obviously legend of the chat. Dino is in there. Saying hi to Scott. Who's your right back? I mean, right now, who do I like? I like Mendes. Is it Mendes of PSG? I don't know if he's right or left, but I like Mendes. I really bloody like Mendes. I really like Mendes. I do like Mendes. Right back, I do like Hakimi as well. I mean, I think, I'm thinking about it because I don't want to be an obvious person, but I do like Hakimi. I really like Hakimi. Any Portuguese right backs you like? Nobody that plays for us. No, Hakimi. And again, I don't want to be that obvious guy, but Hakimi for me, I really like Hakimi. I do, and you're right. PSG have some really good players. So, yeah, I like Dumfries as well. Really powerful player. And again, these are the types of players that I like. I like. I mean, defending an option for me. Porro, Timber. Yeah, I like Timber. Funny how Timber was a centre back, but he's then turned into a right wing back as well. Timber's good. Dumfries is good at going forward, suspectively. So, and I think this is what I think with a wing back. Do you trade defensiveness for attacking, or can you have a little bit of both? I think Hakimi probably got a little bit of both. Palace legend, my friend, what's up, JB? I hope you're doing extremely well tonight. Hope you are doing extremely well. So look, this is sort of where we are tonight. Davis had declined a little. Yeah, I mean, isn't Davis injured though? Is he still injured? I don't know. I know he had quite an injury. So I don't know if he's back at all. But that's sort of where we are tonight. The spin brigade is off already. Yes, injured, but even before the injury, he was regressing. I did like Davis. He was the next big thing, wasn't he? And will he ever come back? I just don't know. So what else is there to say really tonight? I think tonight YouTube as well is not been the best tonight either, but there has been a problem as well throughout the whole of the day, but it is what it is. So guys, I will be back tomorrow. All I'm going to say really before I go is this is what we're going to see. There's an international break coming up. There's 2 weeks, and what we are going to play. Greg says I'd play a 4-2-3-1 on paper, 3-4-3, diamond in possession, fullback goes into midfield, Cruyff style. I like that. I do. We're going to get spin. I think all we're going to get now for the next however many days is we're going to get spin. Amorim press conferences tomorrow, I think, or Friday. I can't remember which one it is. Probably tomorrow. We'll talk about that. I think we're going to see much of the same. I really, really do. I think we're going to get linked. There's going to be spin. There's going to be so much stuff coming out this week. And then next week is going to be full ball, total complete spin. Ten Hag tried a diamond in a couple of games. Ten Hag tried many things, Grayson. Ten Hag was absolutely out of his depth. I think as he's proven a couple of times now. So for me, after tomorrow, the press conference, and then we go into the Friday, I wonder what team we're going to play. I don't know. I'm going to be, and again, this for me is the part of the week where I'm not going to now start talking about players good or bad, because I think it's now time to get on and support the team. As much as I don't prescribe to this whole, we've got to support these players whatever happens. In game is a different story, of course it is, but I think it serves no purpose for me now for the rest of the week, and I've tried not to go in on players. We need to go again. We need to go again. We need to. I think we need to beat Spurs. I think to turn a corner. Can we turn a corner, and can we beat Spurs? What's my initial opinion right now on the game? It depends. It depends on what team he plays. I'm going to say this: if Amorim plays the same team he played in the Forest game, I think we get beat. I'm just going to say it. I do. I think we get beat. I don't see. I saw a couple of things in that game where I just don't. The players just can't recover. I don't like some of the things that I saw, and it is consistent now. You know, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name players anymore. I think the time for that has been done. They've been called out enough. Those same players, if they play again, and this is why I say, as much as I support Rúben Amorim, there are still question marks about. I think there are some other things that he can do, but he won't. So I think that we will see on the day. My humble opinion right now is if he plays the same team, I do think we lose. I hate predicting a loss. Maybe my mind will change. I know Spurs. I think Spurs had a couple of players out. Maybe their injury list does increase, but we'll see throughout the week. So I'll be back tomorrow at some point. Hopefully, YouTube will come back and behave itself. And so get into the comments. Dropping comments and likes does help the algorithm out. It really, really does. As well as get into the comments once the video is done. Just putting anything in those comments really, really does help out the channel. Really, really does help with the algorithm to basically push this video out and make the channel bigger. So guys, thank you for watching. You guys are fantastic. Grace, Tulip, Dino, Scott, everybody that's in this chat, Steve, so many of you guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely amazing stuff. So please have a good rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, and I will be back tomorrow. See you later, and take care.